Hello everyone, this is Yalda from Eat, Burn, Sleep, the online low inflammation, gut health and sustained weight loss platform. If you follow me on my social media, you probably know that I love learning, discovering new things, meeting passionate individuals. So I have decided to launch this podcast where I interview amazing people. We're going to be talking about physical health, mental health, well-being, with people who are passionate about what they do and who strive for excellence. I hope you learn from it and you enjoy it. Let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Eat, Burn, Sleep podcast. I'm here with a beautiful woman, Natasha K. Richardson, who's a life and leadership coach. I have met her because she's a yoga teacher in a retreat, the body holiday that I went to, and I thought her energy was so beautiful that I've asked her to come and be a guest in my podcast. Hi, Natasha.
Hi, my love. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thanks so much for accepting this invitation.
I'm honoured. It's great. We're sitting here in your beautiful room overlooking the amazing ocean. I think this is the nicest place I've done a podcast before.
So, Natasha, we had a chance to talk a little bit, and I have found out about your story and what you've done. But I must admit, what I find the most fascinating about your work is your understanding of human emotions at such a young age. So you're 32 years old.
32 now, yeah.
You took me... So first we're going to go over your story, how you've become what you are now. And after that, I would love us to dig a little bit deeper into how you coach people, how you make them bring out their potential, how you bring out leadership in people, and your understanding of emotions, and in particular relationships.
Okay. Yeah, so I know there's not much there for half an hour, don't you? So my journey, like I told you, started when I was 14. I say my journey started when I was 14. I would say my whole life has been a journey. So the fact that I'm an only child. I was raised single-handedly. I was very used to my own company from a very, very early age, and I mean from zero. So not that I didn't have a lot of friends, but it was very comfortable for me to go and take time for myself and spend quiet time, like in woodlands at the age of 6, and go and spend time in cloud gaze. That wasn't a foreign thing for me to do. It was a very familiar thing for me to do, and my family observed it. So I've had this innate ability to be very present with myself from a very young age. And then I fell into yoga when I was 14. So I found, if you're British, you'll know there's a program, or was a program, called GMTV. And I found this video, and we all used to watch VHS, and I found this video and I popped it on. And I used to roll out a rug at the end of my bed every single evening. I used to light a candle. I used to look at the flame, close my eyes. And I used to see the flame at the back of my eyes, and didn't realise that this was Trikarta meditation. This is an old, ancient Tantra form of meditation. Had no idea at 14 I was doing that. I was just intuitively doing it. So I really became very connected with the practice of yoga. And that continued on. And I've always been the friend that everyone came to. I'm a Libra, like you. So we're always seeking balance in our life, and for others as well. And I was brought up kind of Buddhist principle by my mum, but my family were Catholic and then went to a Church of England Protestant school. So I had this melting pot of religions and philosophies. So I think I really had a wider contextual understanding of lots of people's different perspectives from a very young age. And I grew into myself how every young adolescent does. But I was able I'd say when I was noticing in my teens where, you know, young adults and teenagers end up becoming their emotions and becoming their feelings and becoming experiences that go on at school or out of school and in life, and it's all consuming, and there's high kind of frustration, peaks of frustration, and lows because hormonally you're changing. What I noticed about myself is that even though I was riding those waves, I was riding them with more of a removed perspective, which I now know was because of the curation of yoga and how it fed and integrated into my life. So that philosophy, the reading of it, the practice of it on my mat or on my rug at the end of my bed really equipped me with some life skills and some life tools at a very, very poignant age that not many kids or adolescents had. Mm-hmm. So that really taught me a lot. And, you know, I took that on into work. So I was in advertising. I started advertising marketing at uni. I went to L'Oreal. I was at L'Oreal and worked there. And then I moved on to luxury travel communications at Piarco, then at VC, at Rocket Internet, so venture capitalist, and kind of co-founded an angel investor startup. So I was going into all these different ways of blue chip corporate, very, very creative, expanding there, but always being able to kind of sit and be on the fly on the wall and observe, which really lent itself to a greater understanding of humans because I was amongst a lot of different characters. Yes. And, you know, I was in my 20s. So I was 24. I was 26 when I was at Rocket running 6 cities. So I was doing a lot at a young age. And also different cultures, so lots of different people from all over the world. And then really I got invited out to India, to Ananda Spa in the Himalayas, which used to be my old client. And the head yogi there, Sir Sushant, who's really well known and used to teach for Oprah and a lot of other celebrities and the royals. He broke away and started this very, very traditional teacher training in an ashram called Rishikesh Yogi's Yogshala. And he flew me out, invited me out to help them with their business. And as a result, gifted me my first 200-hour teacher training. So I had this amazing experience where we had more teachers than students. We had 6 people on the first teacher training and 7 Bihar masters.
That's extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So if you can imagine what you're absorbing within an ashram in Rishikesh, in the birthplace right by the Ganga, with these masters of anatomy, masters of yoga psychology, masters of meditation and theta healing, was unbelievable. So that really ascended my practice and ascended my own wisdom and knowledge of that specific Eastern philosophy. And so when I came back, I was absolutely bursting at the seams of how can I integrate more of this into what I do. Yes. And at that point, what was I doing then? I was consulting. So I was kind of freelance consulting. So, you know, as everything happens in life, and especially for me, when you surrender and you let go, and I knew kind of what I was here to do and to help people and definitely help them alleviate themselves of kind of self-perpetuated suffering. But how was a different story. I allowed that to just free flow. And so I'm very passionate about the future generations. I ended up going into a lot of schools, teaching there, state and private. And then that happened, and I worked with a company called Active Movement, which was helping children become less sedentary in schools to reduce obesity and diabetes. So we did that. And then that was after a year. And then I got to a point where I really realized, after having conversations and very natural conversations with people that were in business, but also out of business, just in restaurants and cafes, or in resorts and on holidays, that the way that I was living my life and the way that I was leading my life was very, very different to how, let's say, 98% of the population do. So I've always followed my heart and used my head, always. But the heart comes first. So my gut intuitive wisdom will speak, and then I'll cerebrally intellectualize and say, okay, what's going on here?
Interesting.
What's the best route?
Yes.
And so from a very young age, I used to actually draw, when I was a teenager, frameworks. I used to have A4 piece of paper, draw out circles, and I'd say, okay, what environment is it that feeds me the most? I knew it was by the ocean. Okay, cool. What is it that I love to do? What is it that I'm good at, that people say that I'm really good at? And what is it that I really feel like the world needs? So at a really young age, it was probably, I didn't realize until 12 years later from when I'd started doing this. And I did this pretty much every year. I'd sit in my room, I'd doula myself out. I'd realize, actually, when I read the book Ikigai, this is what the Japanese have done for so long for their children and for every single person within that country, understanding what their purpose, what their reason for being is. and understanding how the macro world affects the micro and the micro affects the macro. So, okay, what environment feeds me, but how do I feed others?
Yes.
So this cyclical nation. And so that married with, let's say, higher consciousness awareness or spirituality, however you want to label it, combined with my strategic mindset, combined with my fascination about science and neuroscience and into neurobiology and how we work as humans and biology, I was leading my life that forever led me into fulfilled positions and fulfilled experiences moment to moment. I've never in my life been unfulfilled, ever. Not within work, not within my career.
Amazing.
But there's been always a point where I know there's a shift coming. And that's either if I was working for somebody else that I would get promoted, or if not, I was moving on. And so I acted on that authority very quickly rather than sitting on it. And I think that's what I know that's what led me from place to place. And then slowly but surely, I ended up getting flown around the world to coach and teach in some beautiful places, the Body Holiday being one, a place called Santani in Sri Lanka, kind of 5-star, 6-star detox Ayurvedic resort, very, very specialized in healing. I was in Costa Rica. Where else was I? I was in Malibu teaching there, flown to California, went to Esalen, Big Sur. So that trip and that experience, I wasn't buying flights and I wasn't going somewhere. I literally was meditating on my intention. And as a result, these opportunities were literally dropping into my inbox. So I said, this is where I need to be right now. And upon this journey, I met multiple people that were in very transitory periods of their life. And I had deeper conversations about what I did and what I was birthing, which was the TLC method. And it came very organically. I had people tell me, I have a counsellor, I have a therapist at home. I've worked with X, Y, and Z. How do I continue working with you? Because I don't want to stop. So,
oh, amazing.
Yeah. So it was this beautiful point in my life where I knew that slowly but surely everything that I'd ever learned and lived through was coming to fruition and coming into this creation egg that was birthing into the TLC method. So science, spirituality, and strategy. And that was coming into this life coaching, coupled by the affirmation and the reaffirmation of people saying, I want to work with you, and me not even telling them about my method. Amazing. So it was this tick, win-win, where then suddenly I sat with myself and thought, this is it. This is the one. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm here to do. And that was it. The rest was history. So the TLC method's been running for 2 years, coaching businesses and people about how to understand themselves better to improve personal, interpersonal skills, resilience, better heart-centered communication, compassionate awareness, very, very conscious, being introspective and reflective within a very reactive workplace or reactive environment, whether it's your personal, your love life, whatever, taking pause and respite bites, and also equipping people with tools that I've learnt over the years, 20 years, nearly 18, 19 years, of how to actually live in this world. So how to live with peace, how to live with grace, how to live with abundance and fulfillment and purpose, so that people don't feel like they're being pulled left and right and feeling discombobulated as they work through their own journeys. And that's ultimately what the TLC method does. So
how does it work? If I came to you and I said, okay, I want to do the TLC method, is there a timeline? Do people speak to you regularly? Do they have to do homework?
Yeah.
How does it work?
Sure. So I put people on programs no longer than 12 weeks, which surprises some people. I'd always say it depends what your objectives are. So how the whole process works is, say I met you.
Yeah.
And you said, Natasha, actually, I think I'd really like to work with you. I said, okay, cool. So I'd say, let's set up a chemistry call. So that chemistry call is a further discussion that's a complimentary 30 minutes. And we talk about what you're seeking and what you're suffering with. Those 2 points are really important because it's the void and it's the desire. And actually what we lack is usually why we're desiring. So, and then sometimes coupled with what you're most afraid of. So when we have this 30-minute kind of rocket fuel conversation, I'm able to then decipher what your program pillars are. And there are 3. Usually works in the power of 3. Life does, and the laws of the cosmos as well. So very, very strong pillars. And then from there, I'll flesh out your program and I'll say, you know, actually, I think you'd be on a 4-week, an 8-week or a 12-week. So these programs have been built to either boost where you are, to either completely reset you or to restore something within you. And the reason for the time frame is because there's an average 44 days that psychologists and psychotherapists have realized actually create sustainable behavior change.
6 weeks, around 42. That's correct. A quarantine, around 40 to 45 days. Exactly. That's how long, it's a cycle.
Yeah.
So in my, just interrupting you quickly, in my method, I have a 6-week reset. Mm-hmm. And it is a cycle. Mm-hmm. So for example, a lot of religions, the mourning period is around 40 days, 45 days. A quarantine means 40 days. Yeah. Postpartum, you're not allowed to exercise for 6 weeks. And then you become you again after birthing a baby. Mm-hmm. It's a huge cycle.
And so, you have the awareness of it. I have the awareness of it. So there's no reason for me to create programs that are longer than this.
Yes.
And if, I don't qualm or question anyone that does, but really, understanding relationships, and ultimately a coach has a relationship with their clients. Why would you want somebody to become codependent on you? Mm-hmm. I want to empower people so that they have sovereignty in themselves.
But they can come back to you if they have a little wobble. For sure,
always. I always say I'm standing there, and whenever you look back, I'm going to be standing behind you, smiling and waving. But it's until you reach out and you need me that I'll then lean my hand out towards you. So we have this 4-week, 8-week, 12-week, and primarily people go to an 8-week. It's interesting. And then the 12 weeks for the complete kind of reset. And what I'll do then is I'll build in the pillars into the program, and you'll have 2 hours of me, dedicated time with me a week. So one is a session called a life hacking session, which is an embodiment session, and the other is a call. And then the other hour is homework or soul work, whatever you want to call it. And I'll be leading you week on week through different areas of your life, but working through different pillars, your different pillars. And integrating lots of different ancestral wisdom practices, lots of embodiment practices, transformational breath work, therapy, yoga therapy, all of these amazing tools that the Eastern traditions have learned and have been using for so long, that we just need to start to weave in and actually become and integrate into our daily rituals and daily practices. And then there'll be kind of the wider contextual understanding. And if they want to do further reading, I'll lend them books, or I'll suggest books that they read and podcasts. And I'm all about information, but not too much. I don't want to overwhelm.
Yeah.
So always kind of drip feeding that in. And then after the 12 weeks, we clear, send them summaries. I always have 24/7. This is surprising. People are like, why would you want to do that, Natasha? But I have 24/7 access. So they can message me whenever, because you're stepping into the unknown. There's a lot of fear there. But what I'll say is I might not be able to respond immediately, but I'll let you know if I can't respond immediately. I'll say, okay, I've received this, I've got you, but I'll come back to you. It's just so that they know that someone's there. Because often, and you may have experienced this is the first time a lot of my clients have gone and come in and practice something like this, so that they've decided to work with somebody that is working in a different way, that isn't just talking therapy or CBT or something that's very verbal or cerebral. It's going on, working in deeper layers of the being and more holistic. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm working with those type of alpha leaders, we can see right now in the world, there aren't many blue chip or like corporate top Forbes 100 that are very conscious and aware they're going there, but it's new realms and new territory. So I want them to know that they're safe, and safety and security, and that emotional feeling of safety and security is extremely important for somebody to be able to expand and release fully.
Yeah.
And that's where radical transformation comes. So they're my programs, and that's how I work. And then with my leadership, with businesses, it works differently. Mm-hmm. So working on, dependent on the size of the business, whether we're on a retainer 6 months, 12 months, but after 12 months, that's it. I don't want to work with you anymore. So
they should have learned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think they find that really interesting as well. So that's the TLC method.
That's so interesting, because we're quite similar on a couple of points. the first point is the support. I completely agree with you. Similarly, when people join my platform, they have a Facebook group for support, and we're there all the time. I really care about results, but there is and that's why I do this, but also there is that safety blanket. And humans, we all need it. You need to know that you're not on your own. There is a group, there's a team, there is Natasha, there's someone who has your back. And the second thing is you're very much about teaching people to catch fish rather than giving them fish.
Exactly.
And that's what I do as well. I that's in my programs, I always explain the reason why you should eat more of this and maybe less of that. I don't just say have this or have that without the background information, because I want people to take that to their lives and apply it and have power over their decisions.
Completely. And I think also then once you have that understanding and you have the knowledge, then when you put it into practice, that's when the wisdom comes, right? So you can't read and then not embody that yourself and live that. Without doing that, you're not a wise human. You're just a very well-read human. So this is where, for me, it's extremely important, and why I think my clients and why I have these kind of returning clients and this organic lead is that they realize, okay, we have a talking therapy part where I'm processing, and then I'm having this embodied wisdom experience through myself, and then we're being able to discuss that, coupled with educating myself about another realm of living and philosophy and life. So those three, again, it's coming into the tertiary standards, but those three things married together make for a very peaceful journey into the unknown, because there is literary understanding, there's the feeling body that's being expressed, and then there's the support that's being offered within discussion, within community, within connection. So
there is, I want to touch about one topic which you mentioned earlier, where you said to me, we were talking about relationships, and I said to you, it's very difficult to know what's right for us. You said to me, because so many people can be ticking different boxes. So what kind of advice you give your clients when it comes to relationships?
Well, that's a whole different kettle of fish. I mean, relationships, if I'm perfectly honest, relationships, I think, are the most challenging aspect of life. And so, it's the relationship with ourselves and it's the relationship with others, again, personal and interpersonal. When it comes to platonic versus romantic, I don't know what you're specifically asking me, whether it's both or whether it's one.
It's both. Of course it's both.
I think platonic relationships maybe are a little bit easier to deal with. Romantic relationships means that your heart is involved a little bit deeper, and matters of the heart and of the oldest part of the brain, which is the emotional. So it's a little bit trickier to navigate, because we are formulating relationships through emotion. And as we all know, emotions are transient, they come and go. And we can attach ourselves to certain emotions and certain feelings dependent on what we have experienced throughout our life, whether that's in childhood, different stages of our life, and how that fed us and how that supported us or didn't support us. So with relationships, and specifically with my clients, I get them first to be able to nourish and work on discovering what the witness perspective is. So being able to remove yourself from an experience, from an emotional experience, the same as you would a sensation in your body, to not become it, but to be able to observe it. And so, for example, if we were sitting here right now and I said, come into the feeling of touch, where would you naturally feel? Where did your body lead you?
If I was...
Right now, come into the feeling of touch. So where did you feel that?
My arm.
Okay. So now come into the feeling of the experiencer experiencing, and now come into the feeling of your whole skin as an organ, and feel that now. There's now two different parts of the sense experience. It's the touch and it's the experiencer, which is the skin. It's the tongue and it's the experiencer experiencing, which is taste. Very, very two different experiences. The more that you can practice that within your own body, the more that that's then referred and related into life outside of the body, into your external world. So you're then able to see things and feel things with a detached awareness that gives you more clarity over what it is that you're experiencing. So
I see what you mean. So you're basically watching your body experience something.
Exactly.
Whether it's eating food or having a good time with someone or having a drink or laughing or exercising.
Exactly.
So you kind of come out of your body and you look at yourself doing that.
And this can be, be used within relationships. So watch yourself. Where is it that you or have been lost in a relationship? And what I mean by lost is, where did you fully become an emotional experience where you almost lost yourself for a moment? And if that didn't happen, then congratulations. But I think that often happens in relationships. We're all quite hedonistic and seekers of peak experiences, which is natural and it's innate within us. But when that happens time and time again, but you're feeling maybe unfulfilled in relationship, but you're seeking these peak points, why is it that you want to be there? And why is it that you're seeking to be there rather than having stability and balance and more of a level tone within the relationship?
Interesting.
So, that's, we all say that we desire these very balanced, harmonious, grounded, earthy, calm relationships. And that's what's going to give us everything that we need. But realistically, we're rarely there because we love the highs and the lows, because it's what we love, that roller coaster experience, and within most people. So that can become boring, but then we seek consistency. So how can we watch the emotions ride within that bounce partnership between two people and observe it for what it is, and not get too attached to the highs and not get too attached to the lows, to then balance each other out and then see the relationship for truly what it is. And that takes practice. That does. I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm not some saint or some guru, and I've had to really, work on this myself. But the more you do, genuinely, the more peace you have and contentment within your own decision-making process, which is where we also get flummoxed, is, have I made the right decision?
That's such good advice. That's because we are not our emotions.
No.
That is... that's something I'm very aware of, and I include in my daily meditations of trying to watch myself. Because emotions are fleeting.
Super.
You can be happy, then you don't sleep well, you feel a bit depressed, or you eat something that's off, your brain is foggy.
Totally.
That doesn't define who I am.
No.
That's a physiological, chemical, up and down within my hormones,
right,
which affects my brain.
Exactly. And coming back to, you watch yourself coming back to writing the same message or reaching out for the same person when you know that that's not right for you because you've worked through that, but you're still coming back. So what, it's being able to say, okay, what is this action that I'm taking and why am I taking it? And really being able to analyze your own behavior, and also giving yourself permission to do that and giving yourself space and time to do that. And then having the skills to be able to do that, because we're not aware, but that's conscious action for me. That's conscious living. That's understanding the ripple effect of whether it's a thought, a behavior, an action, whether that's with a personal relationship or an interpersonal relationship. That is your awareness. And if something doesn't feel miraculous or harmonious, because we're our own best teachers, we know that within ourselves when something does feel good and it's right for us, then what is it that's leading us back there? So that's how I work, and that's kind of what I educate to my TLC clients when they do ask those kind of questions about relationships. And then there's always fear with relationships. It's either fear of stepping out of one or fear of stepping into one.
Yes.
So fear is another huge contributor to either expansive relationships or restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
So then getting mindfully aware of, what am I afraid of? Why am I fearful of stepping out or stepping in? What is it that feeling, okay, is there a feeling that's rising within me? What is that feeling and where is it rising? Interesting. Have I felt this before? When was the last time I felt this? When was the first time I felt this? All of these questions give us a much broader understanding of our own legacy and our own historical experience with ourselves and with others. And then it helps us to navigate with more wisdom into new relationships that will only elevate and nourish us. And that is where I stand.
That's so fascinating. I'm loving this. I mean, I was trying to understand a little bit about this, and I was reading about it. When a heartbreak is, not that I've suffered one recently, but I don't know how I ended up looking into this. Something led me to do some research of the physiology of a heartbreak. It's a sudden deprivation of dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. For our bodies, it's apparently as hard as stopping hard drugs when you're addicted. When you receive a text message from someone or you get a like on Instagram, that raises your dopamine. So it's so important to also watch ourselves and know what is the truth, i.e., I'm experiencing this because it is, I'm missing something that improved my life and I'm missing it. Or actually, I just got used to having these hormones released all the time and they're being taken away from me. I'm having withdrawal symptoms.
Completely. And also noticing whether is this the first time that I'm experiencing these highs and these rushes of serotonin and dopamine or dopamine, however you want to say it. And then also realizing that we get these elsewhere. So we get these from connection.
Correct.
So spending time with loved ones, with friends, which is obviously being removed now or has been super tricky to navigate through that. Okay, so then if I can't do that, how can I find deeper connection with myself? And then other ways as well. So the serotonin, and then you've got the physical activity, which then rises some of those hormones as well.
Yes, that's right.
So are there other areas of my life and other ways that I can feed these hits, let's call them? But, this is important for our happiness and our health.
Of course.
They're essential. So, and then where was it maybe that I was lacking in these other areas that I was discovering all of this only within the connection that I had with one person? So no wonder when they leave, I'm now feeling deprived because I haven't been feeding it elsewhere.
Yes.
And then once you start feeding it elsewhere, you're not asking for everything from one person as well.
That's
and
right.
you're feeling more balanced within that relationship.
So true.
Because you know that you can get it elsewhere. So there's lots of different ways you can work around this and have more loving, nurturing, balanced, dopamine-infused relationships. And I think it's just like with everything, it's education and it's awareness.
This is so interesting. I'm going to be linking your website, your Instagram page, everything in the description box so people can go and find you and improve their lives if they want to. Natasha, thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure. It's an honor.
I really enjoyed having you here on the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. I wish you an amazing day and thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you to all of you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to go on eatburnsleep.com to learn more about gut health and chronic inflammation. I would really appreciate if you could rate this podcast, and of course feel free to share it with anyone who might enjoy it. Have a beautiful day.